Woo! What's going on, guys? Orms Form coming to you guys today with a video, and it's another late video, and I had to get in on this one. This I want to talk about the Teddy Bridgewater situation. Yesterday, yesterday, the day before, whatever, for the past day or two, there's been rumors out there that Teddy Bridgewater, who's a free agent, by the way, the Lions have offered him a contract, a strong offer, according to Jeremy Fowler from from ESPN. I believe he works for an NFL insider, and he's been on those shows. And he said that the Lions have offered him a strong contract, a strong offer. And he's interested, and other teams are interested in him as well, like several other teams. He's sitting back, he's mulling over what he wants to do, Teddy Bridgewater, and who knows what he's waiting for. Maybe he's waiting for the draft to see what happens in the draft, and maybe someone can make him another offer, something that he likes a little bit better. But let's talk about this Teddy Bridgewater situation, man. The Lions are still in the hunt, for a backup quarterback. They went out and they picked back up Nate Sudfeld, and Nate Sudfeld is backing up Jared Goff. Jared Goff goes down. Nate Sudfeld's your backup, He's coming in. Now, Nate Sudfeld's got zero experience starting. He hasn't started one single game in the 4 or 5 years he's been in the NFL. He's thrown for like one touchdown, 188 yards. He's the guy that you do not want this to happen. Now, let's talk about Bridgewater right now, 30 years old, about 6'2", 215 pounds. Threw for like 9,817 yards at Louisville as a Louisville Cardinal in college. 72 touchdowns, 24 picks, 157.2 rating, and a 68.4% completion percentage, and a very accurate thrower. 170 yards on the ground, 6 touchdowns, 3 years, Big East, American Athletic Conference. Got himself drafted in the first round, 32nd overall, 2014 by the Minnesota Vikings. Boo, just playing, but you know what I'm saying. And then, goes on. Was pretty much going to be the starter there. I think he started almost right off the bat. But he's been in the league for 9 years. Played for the Vikings for like 4, but missed 1 year completely. Saints 2, Panthers 1, Broncos 1, Dolphins 1. He is the poster boy for journeyman. He is a journeyman quarterback, and he has been a backup quarterback ever since he left Minnesota. And we'll talk about those injuries and why he left Minnesota. But his NFL stats: 15,120 yards, 75 touchdowns, 47 interceptions, 90.5 rating, a 66.4% completion percentage, very accurate thrower, 33 and 32 his quarterback record, which I hate, but sometimes you got to throw that in there. 5 fourth quarter comebacks, 7 game-winning drives. Not the best of stats, because he first started his NFL career, I believe, bang, bang, back to back, starting as a starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Then he ended up getting hurt in 2016. We'll talk about that. But he's got a Pro Bowl in 2015 as a Viking. 65 games started to Nate Sudfeld's 0. And then he's been, I think, one of the most, I don't want to use the word beloved, but he's been one of the most liked guy in the NFL from a quarterback situation, or just as a human being altogether. I remember I wish I could remember the names. I tried to research it, couldn't find it, but there was a podcast that I was listening to, or I was even watching on YouTube, and it was a guy that played for the Minnesota Vikings. And when Teddy Bridgewater went down in 2016 in training camp, he went down, tore his he had, I think, what was it? Let me see right here. A knee ACL tear, grade 3. It was a terrible injury. In training camp, dislocated knee and other structural damage. He was done. Sam Bradford came in, and Case Keenum, blah blah blah. And the rest is history. And that's when Teddy Bridgewater became the journeyman that he is today. Like I said, playing for the Saints 2 years, Panthers, Broncos, Dolphins, all back to back. He's even gotten votes for comeback player of the year. Never won it, but he had a vote or two or something like that. So, but he's been one of the most, I'm going to say consistent backups in the NFL. I think he's a really good backup Not going to be crazy expensive. The Dolphins paid him like $6.5 million last year. Bottom line, though, man, this guy is better than Nate Sudfeld. And he's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. The one thing I don't understand about this fan base, Lions fan base, just this Lions fan base all around me, I don't understand why they don't want to have successful or better players in the building sometimes. It's almost like, because I say that because when you hear this about the Teddy Bridgewater stuff, that he could possibly be a Detroit Lion, you see some people freaking out. And I don't know really what those people are freaking out over. What are you so concerned about that you think, is he some sort of threat to Goff? No. You just don't want him starting in the NFL? You think he's washed? He's too old? He's only 30. He's only 30 years old. The only thing I'd be really concerned about with Teddy Bridgewater is his injuries. He's had a ton of injuries, going back to Louisville when he was a Louisville Cardinal. He had an ankle sprain, grade 1 back in college. He had a hand and wrist fracture 2012 back in college. But he's had ankle sprains with the Vikings. He's had concussions with the Vikings. He's had a knee MCL sprain, grade 2 with the Broncos. A concussion with the Broncos. A concussion again with the Dolphins. Leg shin bruise with the Broncos. Hand finger dislocation with the Dolphins. And the major one, besides the concussions are major. He's had 3 that we know of, and probably more that have not even been reported. That's just kind of the reality of football. I think a lot of these guys try to get away, especially back in the day, try to get away with concussions and say they're okay. Now, I don't know Teddy Bridgewater as a human being. I don't know him as a person. Maybe he's that guy that took no chances back in the day and was like, you know what, I think something's wrong. I might be concussed. But there's been 3-4 reports that he's been concussed. And it's been recent. It's been recent. But the major one that we're talking about, and I'm not saying concussion isn't major, but the one that put him out for the whole 2016 season, we got hurt in training camp, then Bradford took over, and eventually Case Keenum. And then you saw whatever Kirk Cousins come in. It was the knee ACL tear, the grade 3 one. Dislocated knee and other structural damage. And when I saw that on Draft Sharks under injury history, really easy to find out. Now, that's the only thing that I could be really concerned about with the Teddy Bridgewater coming here. Just think about it, man. This team, okay? And I don't want to sit here and drink the Kool-Aid. I'm going to drink it. I'm going to sip it a little bit. This team is poised to make a run. They're not messing around here. They go out and get a Teddy Bridgewater. That's a reliable backup. That's one of the better backups in the NFL today. You can only name on probably one hand backups that you probably really want in the NFL. And Teddy Bridgewater is one of them. He's reliable. He has given up a lot. He has given up some fumbles in the past. He's thrown some picks in the past. I'm not shying away from anything like that, though. But the man has had 65 games started. Now, like I said, this team is poised to go on a run. Just say this team wins. This team goes 6-2 right away off the bat. Kind of like the opposite of what they did last year. We're going 1-6. Say they go 6-1, 7-1, whatever they do. And Goff gets hurt. Minor injury, but he's going to miss 3-4 games. Would you rather have Nate Sudfeld in there or a guy like a Teddy Bridgewater? Think about it for a minute. And then this doesn't stop the team from drafting another quarterback to still protect themselves. This team wants to. They have said it multiple times. Jared Goff is our guy, but we want to get a young quarterback here to develop. And I think that's smart. That's a smart way to talk about football, about your football situation. And we just have to be really careful here on what this team wants to do. Like, I'm not saying that this team's going to win a Super Bowl, but I honestly think they're going to win the North. And if Jared Goff goes down, if Jared Goff does go down and we have to go a Nate Sudfeld in there, then our defense better be the Baltimore Ravens in 2000. We better have the 1985 Chicago Bears defense. And you know what? We don't. We don't have that. Goff, as of right now, gives us the best chance to win. But if he was to go down, I would rather have a guy like a Teddy Bridgewater in there that, say Goff's down for 4 games. I would rather have a guy in there that's going to at least get me to 2-2. And it's not going to be all on Bridgewater, just like it's not all on Goff. But Teddy Bridgewater gives you the better opportunity to win football games than Nate Sudfeld. That's just the bottom line, man. I don't understand how this fan base can get upset about bringing in a guy like a Teddy Bridgewater. It really just kind of baffles me. It makes no sense to me. Don't you want this team to succeed? Say we got to give this kid a Bridgewater. I call him kid because I'm 50 and he's only 30. Who cares if you got to give him $6-7 million? Whatever the Dolphins gave him 6.5 last year, match it or give him a little bit more. You know what I mean? You don't want him necessarily starting. You really don't. But the skill set is, and don't get all fired up at me, but the skill set is similar to Goff. He's kind of similar. He's very similar. He's got really accurate with the short intermediate passes. Doesn't have the greatest deep ball, but can throw it every now and then and can hit it. Goff is very accurate. Bridgewater is probably just a touch more accurate, I would say. Bridgewater might be a little more mobile. I don't think there's any real difference there. But Bridgewater does have 846 yards and 11 touchdowns, but 19 fumbles rushing. Probably getting quarterback sacked too, strip sacked and all that too as well. But he does have 19 fumbles, and Goff's not that shy of having fumbles himself. But the skill set is extremely similar between Goff and Bridgewater. Goff is the much better quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about just the skill set. I'm not talking about who's better because Goff is better. That's not even a question. Just talking skill set. That's all I'm saying. They're a very similar type of quarterback. And wouldn't you want a guy here like that who's well-liked, well-respected? And like I said earlier, man, there's a podcast that I was watching or listening to, I forget. And when Bridgewater went down, that Minnesota 2016 team was devastated because he was so well-liked in that room, so well-respected. And you got to remember, too, man, Teddy Bridgewater was with Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn back in when he was a Saint for a couple of years. And Teddy Bridgewater has even came out on record, I think he said last year or 2 years ago. I think it was last year. Don't quote me. Could have been 2 years ago. But he said something like, Dan Campbell, when he says a speech, he's the type of guy that you want to get up and you want to punch somebody in the face. That's what Teddy Bridgewater said. That's how fired up he gets you. And Bridgewater, hopefully, is thinking about coming here. There's other teams that want him, but I think he's doing the smart thing, Bridgewater, and he's waiting. He's seeing where the draft falls, what's going to happen there, and he's going to make his decision because the Lions could just take a quarterback. I think the Lions are taking a quarterback regardless. A lot of people say, though, well, if Bridgewater comes, okay, Sudfeld gets kicked to the curb, he's gone. He's going to be nothing but gone. Then you bring in another young guy, and they may carry 3 quarterbacks. Now, if this team goes a quarterback early, if they were to go quarterback early, then you got a little bit of a situation. You're going to have to carry probably 3 quarterbacks because you can't put that quarterback you just drafted on the practice squad because he's going to get plucked. Now, if you get a later guy in the 5th, 6th round, whatever, there could be a chance you could throw a guy like that on the practice squad. Still could get plucked, but you could be throwing a guy like that on the practice squad. And I don't think it stops the team from drafting a quarterback, even if they sign Bridgewater. I really don't. because this team has said time and time again that they want to develop a young guy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's good. But Bridgewater coming to town potentially, maybe, I think is a fantastic idea. Because I'm telling you, Goff goes down, you do not want Nate Sudfeld in there. And I don't want a rookie in there. I don't care if the rookie was drafted in the first or second round. I don't want a rookie in there. If this team is potentially supposed to be going on a run, I think they're winning the North. I think they're going into the playoffs. What happens then? Don't know just yet. I want to see the season, but I'm predicting they're going to go to the playoffs, and I'm predicting they're going to win the North. And you want Jared Goff in there. But if he was to go down, you would like or love a Teddy Bridgewater to at least get you 2, 3, 4 games, and hopefully he can salvage a game or two. Not all on him, but hopefully he just be that guy that could be safe. Ben Johnson could work with them. That's who you'd want in there instead of a guy like an Nate Sudfeld or a kid just coming out of college. Because this team's primed. They're primed. And I'm sipping on that Kool-Aid a little bit right now. But that's the truth. Ruth. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is right now, man. And I think Teddy Bridgewater coming in would be a really, really, really nice opportunity. He'd be backing up Goff. We don't want to see Teddy in there for any type of. We just don't want to really see him in there. But I'd be more comfortable. I would feel good about it if he was in there instead of a guy like a Sudfeld or a rookie. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And it took me 17 minutes to say it. So sorry about that, guys, but that's just the way it is, man. Now, if we're gonna sit there and talk about injuries, that's fine. That's really fine because he's got a laundry list. He's got a laundry list, man. He's been up and down. He's been treated for bumps and bruises and all kinds of things, man. Surgeries. So he does have some injury history. That's the truth. Still taking him over any guy we have in the roster. Think about who we've had in the past. When was the last time we had a good backup quarterback here? Sean Hill? How long ago was that? Sean Hill, man. Let's be realistic about it. We've had some terrible, terrible backups, man, in this city as a Detroit Lion. Sean Hill is probably the best we've had in a long time. And how long ago was that, man? He was Stafford's backup, right? Was he Stafford's backup? I can't even remember, man. I can't even remember. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it's been. Jeff Garcia, the corpse of Jeff Garcia, if he was even a backup here, it was Kitna was around, he was starting, and Garcia starting, Harrington. There was a whole gong show of quarterbacks, man, that we went through before we even found a decent backup. Now, Sean Hill is the last backup quarterback that I remember being the best backup we've had in years. And that's terrible. Eric Kramer back in the day before, he became the starter. So it's just stuff like that, man. It's just stuff like that. It's very, very odd that this organization would not want to have an upgrade at the backup position. And who cares if you got to pay a little bit extra? And it sounds like they're paying. They want to pay a little bit extra to Teddy. Teddy ballgame. Teddy two gloves. I'd welcome him with open arms, man. With open arms, he'd be a solid backup to Jared Goff. That's it, guys. Thanks a lot for chiming in and or listening in on my rant and raving about Teddy B. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe button at the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bells. Get all my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out, man. What do you guys think, Lions Nation? Do you guys think Teddy B would be a good fit in Detroit? I think it would be a fantastic get, a really solid backup to Jared Goff. Thanks, guys. One pride, go Lions. Boom. Let's go, baby. Woo.